Okay, lab number 61, mixing hot and cold water. One thing that we want to remember is that we're talking about conduction, and conduction does happen when we mix, when hot liquids and cool liquids mix together or touch each other. So what happens to the energy when hot and cool water are mixed, okay? Today, we are going to use the experiment of using equal amounts of hot and cold water, get the initial temperature, and then combine them to get, we'll mix those two together and then figure out the temperature change. Then we'll do 60 hot, 30 cold, which gives us 90 total.
Any available
over here,
please call 1200. Any available
we will
custodians,
do
1200.
30 of the hot, 60 of the cooled, and then we'll end up with 90. You need to have this data table in your lab notebook as we do the lab. So the first thing we're gonna do is, I have 60 milliliters of water in my graduated cylinder. I'm gonna pour that into my cold water cup, take my thermometer, a metal back thermometer, I'm gonna get the temperature of that. Okay, while that's getting the temperature, I'm gonna take and get 60 milliliters of warm water. And I'm gonna pour that into my cup and get the initial temperature of these two. So, as you can see here I'm reading the Celsius degrees. So on my Celsius, on my cold water, we're looking at about 15 degrees Celsius. Okay, so that would be your starting temperature for your cool water. Okay, so now we're gonna read the starting temperature for our hot water. And it looks to be about 145 degrees, or I'm sorry, we're gonna go read the Celsius, so we're at about 64 degrees, okay? So 64 degrees is going to be your starting temperature for your hot water. Okay, now we're gonna mix the two together. So I'm gonna take my hot water and put it with my cold water. And I'm going to record that temperature there. Okay, as you can see, it's still kind of going up. You want to turn your thermometer so you can see the fat line. So it's the thickest part of the line, and right now we're at about 40 degrees Celsius. Okay, I'm not sure if you can see that there. So in your lab notebook here, so we're going to put 40 degrees for our final temperature for both the hot and cold at 40 degrees. Okay, so we started here with your starting temperature, and now you have your final temperatures, so you need to subtract these two to get your temperature change. Okay, so that was the first one of doing 60 and 60. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing, and this time I'm going to do 30 milliliters of cold water. Okay, 30 milliliters of cold water. Again, get my thermometer in there. And I'm gonna get 60 milliliters of hot water, which I heated up with a hot plate and a coffee. So now I'm gonna put my thermometer in there and get the temperatures, okay? So my cold water here, if you look at it, it's about 15 degrees. So I'm gonna go here to my initial temperature of my cool water, and it's gonna be 15 degrees Celsius. Okay, looks like my water here is a little bit hotter than the last time. Looks like I got a better read here. And we're gonna say that it's 70 degrees Celsius to start out with. Okay, so I'm also gonna put that in there. Say this here, so we have 70 and 15. Now I'm going to combine my hot with my cold. So I have more hot water than cold water. Okay. And I'm going to read the temperature change here. Right now it's still climbing. And we're looking at about 46 degrees there that it hit on our top, so we're going to put 46 here. and 46 here. Now you're going to take 70 minus 46, which is going to give you 30, or I'm sorry, 24. Here, you're going to take 15 minus 46, which is actually going to give you a negative number. Okay, so remember that. Okay. All right. So the next one we're going to do is we are going to take the 60 milliliters of cold water. Hopefully I should get about the same temperature, 15 degrees Celsius. And then also I'm going to take 30 milliliters of hot water. Okay. And I'm going to pour it into 30 milliliters into my hot cup. Okay. Here we're going to get about 15 degrees again. For my cold. And we are going to get about 63 degrees. Okay, we have some fluctuation there in my hot water. Okay, so now we're going to mix the hot with the cold so we keep everything the same. So, but we're using less hot water, which is 30 milliliters instead of the 60, and we're going up. And it's still climbing a tad bit, so we're at about 31 degrees. So our temperature there is going to be 31 and 31. So again, 63 minus 31 and 15 degrees Celsius minus 31, which this number is going to be negative again. Okay? So that is lab number 61, mixing hot and cool water.